What is the story with iron overload in the low-carb community and in the carnivore community, and what does it have to do with diabetes? I would argue that if someone is experiencing iron overload on a low-carbohydrate diet or carnivore diet, it means that this diet is not ancestrally appropriate to this person. Take for example the well-known Dr. Paul Saladino. If you followed Paul Saladino's story in the last 1, 2, or 3 years, you would see that he had some situation that he shared with his followers, iron overload. How did Dr. Paul Saladino get to it? Imagine my ancestors, or Paul Saladino ancestors, in the Mediterranean, thousands and thousands of years ago, and even 10,000 and 100,000 years ago. Most chances they never lived on big cattle animals, and they never had big herds of buffalo or any other even more ancient species of cattle, and most chances they lived by either fish, chicken, eggs, or milk. That makes a lot of sense. Now what happens when you take someone, it doesn't matter if it's Dr. Paul Saladino, Tomer Pape, or maybe even a Japanese man from the Japanese islands, and you will put them on a straight carnivore diet based on meat and cows. This person will experience a lot of problems, and in this case we're talking about iron problems. Iron absorption and usage by the body is very delicate. The body knows exactly when and why he wants to use iron or not use iron. Iron is the basis of all life, and in some cases, if iron is in excess, it's the cause of many health problems. Iron overload means that the body stores too much iron in the storage and holds too much iron. It doesn't have to be necessarily in storage, but as we know, ferritin is the storage of iron. And the body knows very well how to put the iron in the storage, but it's very hard for the body to remove excess iron from storage back to use. So you can say that the body put it in boxes, which is ferritin, very fast, but it doesn't take it out from the boxes for very long time, sometimes even years and decades. The best way to lose excess iron is by phlebotomy, as we saw in other people, as Dr. Paul Saladino, which we mentioned earlier. Now, Dr. Paul Saladino is also a colleague of other influencers that were in my podcast, and other doctors and carnivore doctors or keto doctors, and Saladino is followed what we call the animal-based diet, which is basically a diet that is high with organs, meat, but also fruit, honey, and raw milk products. I think it's a great diet, but as we saw with Dr. Paul Saladino, and as I saw previously in my own life, we need to put the ancestral context into place here. You cannot take an heritage of thousands of years, my great ancestors, which ate mostly maybe 80, 70 or 90% of their diet based almost entirely as a protein on chicken, fish and some eggs, and to move so drastically to a carnivore diet or even animal-based diet, which is based on a lot of cattle, a lot of beef products, even if it's high-quality beef. It contradicts the ancestral root of your own people, which actually defines and codes all of your DNA and all what you're doing today. It will determine whether your body will absorb more iron or less iron, whether you're able to cope with milk or without milk, whether you will be able to cope with a lot of grains or less grains, and everything you eat. Now, don't get me wrong. I am on the side of Dr. Paul Saladino and many other low-carb influencers, and even if he got to a high-carb stage as we see now, it is still a real diet based on real products, not processed food, which that is what I advocate for almost 8 years now. And I can safely say that I will never go back to processed food, no matter what diet I will choose or how I will change my diet down the road. But iron overload is real, and we see it more and more in carnivore communities, low-carb communities, animal-based communities, you will name it as you want. Let me know what you think and your journey with iron overload. We know that iron is very easy to store, very easy to hold by the body, but much more complex to get rid of. We also know that many people nowadays get to iron overload, and some of it is not only by diet. We well know that inflammation is causing the body to store a lot of iron, to put it into ferritin, because it doesn't want the pathogen in the body to get free iron as a fuel. So the body is very smart, and is saying, I will not give any more fuel to this pathogen, and I will keep all of my fuel in storage. So then I will lower my available iron in blood, so it won't be usable to the pathogen that is now in the body. And any inflammation can cause the body to do that. It can be strong fever, it can be malnutrition, it can be exposure to toxins of any kind, from food, from cosmetics, from the environment, from radiation and EMF, basically everything. So we have to be really careful with iron. And when you check the iron in our blood, we need to check for all irons. It's iron, saturation, ferritin, and transferrin. We begin with that, and then we have to go to a doctor that will check our iron wisely and will not look just on the available iron, which is telling only maybe 10% of the story. We need to see the whole picture and to understand exactly what caused the body to store iron and to get to iron overload, and then we will know how to treat it. For some it will be phlebotomy, for some it will be only changing the element in their lives that got the body to do that in the first place, and for some it will be some kind of combination. That's it for now on iron overload. Let me know what you think in the comments on iron overload. Have you experienced this kind of situation? Please subscribe to my channel, like and share this video if it helped you, so we can get to other people to help them with situations like iron overload and such. And until the next video, stay balanced and take care, everybody.